We discuss hyperbola. It is the combination of two diverging curves. The center is at origin, and the vertex we call transverse axis, the axis in which hyperbola belongs to. The other axis is conjugate axis. And F1 and F2, the 2 points we mark on the transverse axis. Transverse axis distance is 2c. The distance between F1 and F2 is 2c. That is what OF1 is c, and OF2 is also small letter c. Just before I explained, hyperbola is a set of all points in a plane whose difference of distances from two fixed points is a constant. These two fixed points are called the foci of the hyperbola. Okay. So you have marked this 2c, the distance between F1 and F2 is 2c. Next point, the distance to the vertices is small letter a. So this distance is small letter a. And from center to second vertex also small letter a. So that the distance, or we call it as the length of transverse axis as 2a. The length of transverse axis is 2a. So I name capital A and capital B here the vertices, so that AB, the distance AB is 2a. A and B are the vertices. So AB is considered as the length of transverse axis. It is 2a. Length of transverse axis is 2a. C or A, which is greater among these two? C or A? C or A, which is greater among these two?
C.
C only, it is C. So C will act as the hypotenuse of a right triangle. When we write the relation, we use a relation. And we have one more distance that is called 2b, the length of conjugate axis. Actually, that b we find by Pythagoras relation that I am going to explain after this. So at a distance b unit from the origin, we mark the endpoints of conjugate axis at a distance b unit from the origin. So I call this as capital C and capital D. So this is capital C and this one capital D, so that the length of conjugate axis is 2b. Length of conjugate axis is 2b. C and D are at distances like this, capital small b and small c, small b, the two distances I marked. So CD is 2b. CD is 2b. The length of conjugate axis is 2b. So please mark this also into your diagram. Okay, so these 2 points we write, then we write the relation connecting A, B, C of hyperbola. Length of transverse axis is equal to 2a. Length of transverse axis is 2a. Length of transverse axis is 2a. Then length of conjugate axis length of conjugate axis. What is the length of conjugate axis, children? It is 2b, right? Length of conjugate axis is 2b. Then distance between the foci. Distance between the foci is 2c. Distance between the foci. Distance between the foci is 2c. Distance between the foci is 2c. Length of transverse axis is 2a. Length of conjugate axis is 2b. Distance between the foci is 2c. Distance between the foci is 2c. So please mark this also to your diagram. Yes. Done? Yes. Now we are going to write the relationship between A, B, and C of hyperbola. As I told you, among these three, which is greater, C or A or B? Which one is greater among these three? C, right? So C will act as the hypotenuse. So what will be the relation, Can anyone say the relation connecting ABC of hyperbola? Please write. Relationship between A, B, and C of a hyperbola. Relationship between A, B, and C of a hyperbola. Please write the subheading. Relationship between A, B, and C of a hyperbola. Relationship between A, B, and C of a hyperbola. So this is the relationship. So these three will form a Pythagorean triplet. Among these three, C is greater among these three. C will act as the hypotenuse. A and B are the base and altitude. So what is the relation connecting A, B, C in hyperbola? C square is equal to A square plus B square. C square is equal to A square plus B square is the relation connecting A, B, C in a hyperbola. C square is equal to A square plus B square. It is the relation connecting A, B, C in a hyperbola. Please write. Relationship between A, B, and C of a hyperbola. The relation is C square is equal to A square plus B square. Did you complete till here? Yes. Done. Next, eccentricity, it is the same formula. E is equal to C by A. Length of latus rectum also same formulas there in ellipse. What was length of latus rectum of ellipse? 2b square by A. It is also same 2b square by A. Right. Eccentricity of a hyperbola E is equal to C by A. Eccentricity of a hyperbola, the same formula we use, E is equal to C by A. Eccentricity of a hyperbola E is equal to C by A. In ellipse also we studied the same formula, E is equal to C by A. In ellipse, eccentricity, it was greater than 1 or less than 1. In ellipse, you have written that one. In ellipse, what was the value of eccentricity? Was it greater than 1 or less than 1 in ellipse? Your response, please. Ellipse, you have written that one. In ellipse, eccentricity is greater than 1 or less than 1. You're doing daily practice, right? Yes. John Biju, Vishnu, all of you please respond. In ellipse, you can use the chat box also to respond, no problem. Eccentricity is greater than 1 or less than 1, or you can unmute and say. Only Eunice response I received, others also please. The eccentricity of ellipse is greater than 1 or less than 1. How will you identify?
Greater than 1.
Look at C and A. In ellipse, C is smaller than A in ellipse. So in ellipse, eccentricity was less than 1. But in parabola, in hyperbola, C is greater than A. So what about in hyperbola in this one? In ellipse, eccentricity is less than 1, but in hyperbola, eccentricity is greater than 1. In hyperbola, eccentricity is greater than 1. You're going to write that point. Eccentricity of a hyperbola is greater than 1. Reason C, since C is greater than A. Eccentricity of a hyperbola is greater than 1. Eccentricity of a hyperbola is greater than 1. The reason, since C is greater than A. Since C is greater than A. That is the reason what eccentricity of a hyperbola is greater than 1. The reason C is greater than A. Please note down. Eccentricity of a hyperbola is greater than 1. Okay. So you have completed that also. Next, latus rectum of a hyperbola. That is also a common term for both the types of hyperbolas. It is the same formula, 2b square by a. Latus rectum, write the subheading, latus rectum of a hyperbola. And everybody knows what is latus rectum. In ellipse we studied, in parabola also we studied. It is the line segment that passing through the foci, and it is perpendicular to the axis of the ellipse or parabola. In hyperbola it is same. It will be perpendicular to the transverse axis and it will pass through the foci, okay, through the foci. So please write. Latus rectum of a hyperbola is a line segment. Latus rectum of a hyperbola is a line segment, perpendicular to the transverse axis. Perpendicular to the transverse axis. Perpendicular to the transverse axis through any of the foci. Through any of the foci. And whose endpoints lie on the hyperbola. And whose endpoints lie on the hyperbola. So latus rectum of a hyperbola is a line segment which is perpendicular to the transverse axis through any of the foci and whose endpoints lie on the hyperbola. So if you draw a rough diagram, so these are our F1 and F2, and the latus rectum, it will be like this. It is a line segment through the foci like this. The line segment through the foci, any of the foci, or over here also we can draw, and it is perpendicular to the transverse axis whose endpoints lie on the hyperbola. So these are the latus rectum. Length of latus rectum, it is same formulas there in ellipse. What is the length of latus rectum of ellipse? Length of latus, same formula, 2b square by a. So please write, length of latus rectum of a hyperbola is equal to 2b square by a. Length of latus rectum of a hyperbola is equal to 2b square by a. Length of latus rectum of a hyperbola is equal to 2b square by a. Please write. Length of latus rectum of a hyperbola is equal to 2b square by a. Okay. So hope you all completed till here. Next, we are going to discuss the two types of hyperbola. As there in ellipse, exactly as there in ellipse, there are two types of hyperbola. One is transverse axis will be x-axis, horizontal axis. Second is transverse axis will be y-axis. That means the hyperbola curves will belong to all of you know the transverse axis. In first type, transverse axis is x-axis. In second type, transverse axis is which one? Y-axis. So please write. Standard equations of hyperbola. Next subheading. Standard equations of hyperbola. Subheading. Standard equations of hyperbola. Standard equations of hyperbola. Standard equations of hyperbola. Type number one, transverse axis is x-axis. Type number one, transverse axis is x-axis. Type number one, transverse axis is x-axis. In type number one, transverse axis is x-axis. Please write the subheading. Standard equations of hyperbola. Type number one, transverse axis is x-axis. Transverse axis is x-axis. Yes, please keep the camera on, all of you. Because of the classes, I allowed some students to join at 4 o'clock. They all join, I hope. So please keep the camera on, all of you, please. Okay. So I will send the recorder in the class group so that you have to watch that record. Those who miss that half an hour class also should watch that record and complete the notes. Okay. Yes. So we are discussing hyperbola. Hyperbola, there are two axes. One is the transverse axis, the horizontal axis. Hyperbola, it's a combination of two diverging curves. That if the curves, the axis in which the curves belongs to is the transverse axis. The one which is perpendicular to transverse axis is conjugate axis. The distance between A and B, the transverse axis length is 2A. CD length is 2B. the conjugate axis length. F1, F2 length is 2c. So these are the points we discussed, and the relationship between A, B, C. Here C is greater, so C square is A square plus B square. Now see the first type. Transverse axis of hyperbola, if it is x-axis, we draw the diagram. Again, a similar diagram. Combination of two curves, first curve and second curve. The combination of two curves we draw. Then the transverse axis. This is x-axis. Next, y-axis. Here the transverse axis is x-axis. The axis in which the hyperbola belongs to are the transverse axis. So this is the transverse axis. And this axis is conjugate axis. Okay. Origin O, capital A and B, the vertices, F1, F2, the foci, and the C and D, the endpoints of conjugate axis we mark. So this is at a distance A unit. OA and OB are A unit, and this distance is C unit, distance to the foci, and this capital C and D are at a distance of B unit from the origin. So please draw the hyperbola and mark all these. Finished. Please draw the hyperbola. Maximum need diagram. Use scale and pencil. Then you have to mark that vertices capital A and capital B. These are at distances A unit. Okay. Done. Done, right? Okay. So then we write like this. Standard equation. Equation of, or standard equation of type 1 hyperbola is x square by a square minus y square by b square is equal to 1. X square by a square minus y square by b square is equal to 1 is the standard equation of this type. X square by a square minus y square by b square. So when we compare it with the ellipse, there is only one difference, a minus sign that comes in the middle, minus sign. So x square by a square minus y square by b square is equal to 1 is the standard equation of first type. In ellipse it was plus, in hyperbola minus sign it is in the middle. Then we write the vertices, foci and all, the remaining points. Coordinates of foci. Can you say what are the coordinates of foci F1 and F2 here? By looking at the distances. Coordinates of foci. Look at this. F1 is at a distance C unit. So this is minus C0 and this will be plus C0. So what are the coordinates of foci? Plus or minus C0, right? Coordinates of foci are plus or minus C0. Coordinates of foci are plus or minus C0. Coordinates of foci plus or minus C0. Next. Coordinates of vertices. Next point. Coordinates of vertices plus or minus a0. Coordinates of vertices plus or minus a0. Coordinates of foci plus or minus c0. Coordinates of vertices plus or minus a0, plus or minus a0. Kevin Sargent, it is diverging. Diverging. In the ellipse, it was converging curve. That is what plus sign in the middle. Okay, so it is diverging in hyperbola. That means it deviates each other. That is what minus in the middle, okay, of that formula.
Okay.
In circle, ellipse, all these curves, it was converging curves. Okay, so now the next point is center. Center is at origin. Center of this hyperbola is at origin. These are the 3 points to be noted. Center at origin or 0, 0. Okay. So hope you all understood the type 1 hyperbola and the points are written. Next, type 2. In type 2, transverse axis will be y-axis. That means the curves, the diverging curves will belong to y-axis. Yes, did you complete till here? Okay, next, type number 2. Please write type 2. Transverse axis is y-axis. Type 2, transverse axis is y-axis. Type number 2, transverse axis is y-axis. Please write the subheading type number 2. Transverse axis is y-axis. Yes, yes. Done. Transverse axis is y-axis. Now you will draw this diagram. So here we draw the hyperbola like this, because the transverse axis is y-axis. So we will draw the hyperbola like this, and you will draw the y-axis and x-axis. If any doubt in between, please ask. So this is the y-axis. This is the transverse axis. It is y-axis. And conjugate axis, the one which is perpendicular to transverse. So this is the conjugate axis. Yes. Okay, so here we write this y-axis as the transverse axis. So this is our transverse axis here, the axis in which hyperbola belongs to. This is conjugate axis, transverse axis, and then conjugate axis. Okay, so next we have to mark the center at origin. This all will be same. This is capital A and capital B, the endpoints of transverse axis as the vertices. And here we mark F1 and F2, that is also on y-axis here in second type. Capital A is at a distance of A unit. So that the vertices will be 0, comma, plus or minus A here. And capital C F1 is at a distance of C unit from the origin. So this distance is C unit. So that the foci are 0, comma, plus or minus C here. 0, comma, plus or minus C. Yes, please complete this diagram. Okay, so hope you all completed transverse axis and conjugate axis, this part. Yes, then you will mark. Standard equation, all right. Standard equation of second type is standard equation of second type. Here, transverse axis is y-axis. So that should come first. Transverse axis should come first. So we write y square by a square minus x square by b square is equal to 1. This is the standard equation of second type of hyperbola. Always transverse axis will come first. In first one, x was the transverse axis. So we wrote x square by a square minus y square by b square is 1. In second type, y is the transverse axis. So we have to write y square by a square minus x square by b square equal to 1. Joyson, are you listening? Y square by a square minus x square by b square equal to 1 is the standard equation of second type. Next, what are the coordinates of foci here in second type? Alfin, coordinates of foci. Coordinates of foci. It is on y-axis.
0,
plus
0,
or minus.
Plus or minus C.
Correct. So please write coordinates of foci. Coordinates of foci. Zero, comma, plus or minus C. 0, comma, plus or minus C. Right. Coordinates of foci 0, comma, plus or minus C. 0, comma, plus or minus C. Next point. Next point. Coordinates of foci you marked 0, comma, plus or minus C. Next point. Coordinates of vertices. coordinates of vertices 0, plus or minus a. 0, plus or minus a. Then center is at origin or 0, 0. Coordinates of vertices 0, plus or minus a. Center is at origin, that is O, 0, 0. So before we start the sum, one more special note is there. In some questions, A and B will be equal. We know always C is greater than A. C acts as the hypotenuse. But in case if A and B are equal, it is called an equilateral hyperbola. Equilateral hyperbola. So please write this as a special note. A hyperbola in which A is equal to B. Special note. A hyperbola in which A is equal to B a hyperbola in which A is equal to B is called an equilateral hyperbola. Is called an equilateral hyperbola. A hyperbola in which A is equal to B is called an equilateral hyperbola. Please write. A hyperbola in which A is equal to B is called an equilateral hyperbola. Is called an equilateral hyperbola. Okay. So now we are going to start questions. Exercise 11.4. Find the coordinates of the foci. Find the coordinates of the foci. Find the coordinates of the foci. The vertices. The vertices. The eccentricity. The eccentricity. And the length of the latus rectum. Of the following hyperbolas. Of the following hyperbolas. Find the coordinates of the foci, the vertices, the eccentricity, and the length of the latus rectum of the following hyperbolas. Question number 1. X square by 16 minus y square by 9 is equal to 1. Please write. X square by 16 minus y square by 9 is equal to 1. Question number 1. X square by 16 minus y square by 9 is equal to 1. X square by 16 minus y square by 9 is equal to 1 is the question number 1. So if x comes first, it is type 1. X is a transverse axis. If y comes first, it will be second type. That is a way of identifying type 1 and type 2. I repeat, if x comes first, that is type 1 hyperbola. X is the transverse axis. If y comes first, y square by a square minus x square by b square form, it will be the second type. So this is type 1 hyperbola. So we equate this one to type 1 hyperbola. So we start the solution comparing it with type 1 hyperbola standard equation, comparing the given equation with x square by a square minus y square by b square is equal to 1. That is the first step. We can write a square and b square. A square is equal to 16. So that a is equal to 4. B square is 9. Do not take negative root because these are all distances. B is equal to 3. B is equal to 3. Like this, we can write A and B from each standard equation. Finish. Wrote A and B. Next step, you have to find out C square. C square is equal to, what is the formula for finding C square? Unit C square is equal to?
A square plus B square.
Correct. A square plus B square. Then substitute. 4 square plus 3 square. It is equal to 16 plus 9, that is 25. C square is 25. C is equal to root of 25, that is equal to 5. C is equal to root of 25, which is equal to 5. C is root of 25, that is equal to 5. C is equal to root of 25, that is equal to 5. Clear? C is equal to root of 25, which is equal to 5. Okay. Next step. What is next step? Writing all these points. Coordinates of foci. In first type, what are the coordinates of foci? Coordinates of foci. Yes, in first type, coordinates of foci are plus or minus C0. That is plus or minus 5, 0. Coordinates of foci. Plus or minus 5, 0. Next, coordinates of vertices. Coordinates of vertices. Coordinates of vertices are plus or minus a comma 0. So that comes plus or minus 4 comma 0. Plus or minus a0 means plus or minus 4, 0. Coordinates of vertices. Next, yes, after writing coordinates of vertices, what is next point? Eccentricity. Eccentricity E is equal to C by A. Eccentricity E is C by A. C is 5 and A is 4. So 5 by 4. E is equal to C by A, that is 5 by 4. Eccentricity E is equal to C by A, which is equal to 5 by 4. Next, length of latus rectum is 2b square by A. Please write length of latus rectum is 2b square by A. That is 2 into B. B is 3. 3 square by 4. Is it clear? 2 into B square. B is 3. 2 into 3 square by 4. 2 and 4 will go 2. So we get 9 by 2 units. 9 by 2 or 4.5 units. This is the length of latus rectum. Hope you all understood these writings. Any doubt, children? From the beginning, all the steps are okay. Ismail?
Yes, sir.
Thomas? All the steps are clear?
Yes, sir.
Shivali?
Yes, sir.
Similar question, second one. Y square by 9, right? Y square by 9 minus x square by 27 is equal to 1. Y square by 9 minus x square by 27 is equal to 1. Y square by 9 minus x square by 27 is equal to 1. Yes. This is type 1 or type 2. Any student can answer.
Type
Type 2.
Type 2. All of you got the idea clear. When y comes first, it is type 2 hyperbola. Joshua Abel, it is type 2, right?
Type 2.
Type 2.
Yeah.
Type 2 standard equation. We are going to equate it to type 2 standard equation. Type 2 standard equation. That is step number 1. Comparing the given equation with the type 2 standard equation of hyperbola. Comparing the given equation with type 2 standard equation. That is y square by a square minus x square by b square equal to 1. Y square by a square minus x square by b square equal to 1. Okay, so now we equate okay. Yes, yes. So we can write a square is equal to 9. A square equal to 9 or a is equal to root of 9, that is 3. Similarly, b square is 27. B is root of 27. Root of 27 means root of 9 into 3. That will be 3 root 3. This is B. B is root of 27. That is root of 9 into 3. It is 3 root 3. Is that clear? Yes. Then we have to find out coordinates of foci. It is type number 2. Aryan, what is coordinates of foci in type 2?
So 0, plus or minus c.
Correct. 0, comma, plus or minus c. So that comes like the 0, comma, but we have to find c. We have to find c. So one more step, I write c square equal to. After that, we find the c square is equal to. C square is equal to. What is the formula? C square equal to a square plus b square. In both the types of hyperbola, c square equal to a square plus b square. Then can you calculate a square is 9 plus 27. What is 9 plus 27, children? 36. So c is equal to root of 36. That is equal to 6. So please find c. Then you can easily write coordinates of foci. Coordinates of foci. Coordinates of foci. Plus or minus a comma, sorry, 0 plus or minus c. 0 plus or minus c, because second type. 0 plus or minus c, that is 0 plus or minus 6. Coordinates of foci, 0 plus or minus 6. Please note down. Coordinates of foci, 0 plus or minus 6. Next, coordinates of vertices. Coordinates of vertices are 0 plus or minus a. That is 0 plus or minus 3. Coordinates of vertices 0 plus or minus 3. Coordinates of vertices 0 plus or minus 3. Okay, next, eccentricity E is equal to C by A. Right. Eccentricity E is equal to C by A. What is C by A? C is 6 and A is 3. 6 by 3, that is 2. Finally, length of latus rectum. Length of latus rectum. 2b square by A. 2b square by A, that comes 2 into B is 20. B square is 27 by A. What about A? A is 3. So 3 and 27 will go. 9 into 2, 18. 18. Okay, so this is the length of latus rectum. That is 18 units. 18 units. Length of latus rectum is 18 units. Hope you all understood this one. Yes. Next question. All of you completed. Sunny Thomas, Joyson.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I'm done.
Maitri, Vishnu, Elena, all students finished?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Next, 9y square minus 4x square is equal to 36. Please write 9y square minus 4x square equal to 36. Okay, so here we have to divide by a particular number to get 1 to the right side. Yes, what number to be divided to get 1 to the right side? What number we have to divide to get 1 to
36.
36? We have to divide it throughout by 36. In ellipse also we have done the same type of question. So the first step is dividing throughout by 36. So please start. Dividing throughout by 36. Step number 1. Dividing throughout by 36. Dividing throughout by 36. So you will get like this. 9y square by 36 minus 4x square by 36 is equal to 36 by 36. 36 by 36 is 1. 36 by 36, that is 1. Which means y square by 4 minus x square by 9 is equal to 1. Y square by 4 minus x square by 9 is equal to 1. X square by 9 is equal to 1. So this is of the form y square by a square. minus x square by b square equal to 1. Again, type 2. So please write a square and b square. A square is 4, a is equal to 2, b square is 9, b is equal to root of 9, that is 3. Yes, now I will take the attendance. By that time, all of you please try to do the calculations, the remaining calculations. Square plus b square, that is 2 square plus 3 square, which means 4 plus 9 equal to 13. C square is 13. Okay, so now we write C. C is root 13. Next, coordinates of foci. Either is present, not removed. Coordinates of foci. Plus or minus, sorry, second type, 0, comma, plus or minus C. Then substitute 0, comma, plus or minus root 13. Coordinates of foci, 0, comma, plus or minus root 13. 0, comma, plus or minus root 13. Next, coordinates of vertices. Coordinates of vertices. Coordinates of vertices are 0, comma, plus or minus A, which is 0, comma, plus or minus 2. 0, comma, plus or minus 2. Eccentricity E is equal to C by A. Eccentricity E is equal to C by A. Then substitute C is root 13 by 2. Root 13 by 2. Length of latus rectum. Length of latus rectum. L is 2b square by A, which means 2 into b square. B square is 9. 2 into 9 by 2. So it is 9 units. 9 units. So this is the complete answer to this question. Hope you all understood this. Okay, one more question of the similar type. Please write. 16x square minus 9y square is equal to 576. 16x square minus 9y square equal to 576. Here you will divide it throughout by what number?
576.
576. So the first step is dividing throughout by 576. So the solution 16x square by 576 minus 9y square by 576 is equal to 1. Okay, so now 576 by 16 you can divide. What is 16 and 576 when you cut, what do you get? 36, right? 36. Minus 9 and 576. You can divide 576 by 9. What is the result of division? 576 by 9.
64.
Is it a perfect square? 64, correct. 64 equal to 1. So here x comes first, which means, Steve Francis, it is type 1 or type 2 hyperbola.
So type 1.
Clear, it is type 1. It is clearly type 1 hyperbola. So please compare it with a type 1 hyperbola. So comparing this equation with The type 1 standard form. What is the type 1 standard form? Everybody knows. X square by a square minus y square by b square equal to 1. Comparing this equation with the type 1 standard equation, x square by a square minus y square by b square is equal to 1. Okay, so then we write a square is equal to 36. A square equal to 36. A is equal to root of 36, that is 6. A square is 36. A is root of 36, which is equal to 6. Similarly, b square equal to 64. B is root of 64, that is 8. A square is 36, A is 6. B square is 64, B is equal to 8. B is equal to 8. So then we write C square. C square equal to, how do you find C square? A square plus B square. Please calculate. 6 square plus 8 square. 36 plus 64 equal to 100. C square is 100. C is equal to root of 100. That is 10. C is equal to root of 100, which is equal to 10. Okay, so after this step, what to do? You will find out coordinates of foci. Coordinates of foci. Coordinates of foci are plus or minus C0. So that is plus or minus 10, 0. Then coordinates of vertices. Coordinates of vertices plus or minus A0, which is plus or minus A. A is a 660. Eccentricity E is equal to C by A. So that is 10 by 6, 5 by 3. Length of latus rectum, L is equal to 2B square by A. That is 2 into B. B is 8. 8 square by A. So 64 by 3. 64 by 3. Length of latus rectum is 64 by 3 units. So hope you all understood the basics and the first type sums based on hyperbola. First type in the sense standard equations are given to write the foci, vertices and all. The second type of sums are vertices will be given, foci will be given, the other way around to write the standard equation. So that we'll discuss next class, and at the same time use the daily practice paper very effectively. Study all the sums first from the notebook. Okay, that means the content which is taught in the class. Then you have to do that DPP. Take the printout. Okay, so please take the printout and do the daily practice paper. And I have to see that. Okay, your work. So I am recording it. The work which you have done. So please do each one. And those who are not submitting, the coming days, I will be personally interacting with the parents, okay, with your presence, those who are not doing the daily practice, okay. Because if you're not doing the daily practice, it will be difficult to achieve that the mark which you deserve, okay. All of you deserve a mark, but you are scoring maybe 25% less than that, or 30% less than that. Why? Because of a lack of practice. So please avoid that, and everyone should be systematic in practice. Definitely, you will get 25% more than what you deserve. Okay, so that type of level you will reach. Now, if it is less than, you can raise that level to more than what you deserve. Okay, so for that, you have to do the daily practice effectively. Based on today's sums also, I will send the practice paper, and I will make sure that you are doing it. Okay, for that, those who are not doing, I will catch, okay, all the students, those who are not doing it. Fine. And second, straight lines papers I have corrected almost, but it is not satisfactory performance from many of you. So you have to relearn that chapter, practice that chapter again, and I will send the solutions explained and sent as a video. Okay, we'll send as a video so that you can easily understand where exactly it is going wrong, and practice that chapter again very well. That chapter also, those who are scoring below 50%, how to write a retest.